Be the envy of the neighborhood. 860 KKAT, where the grass is always greener. Welcome to Gardening Utah. Here's composter and show hoster, Jana Francis.
Welcome to Gardening Utah. I'm your host, Jana Francis. Every week here on Gardening Utah, we give you gardening inspiration and advice from experts across the state. We talk about all things vegetables, flowers, trees, shrubs, and of course, your lawn. Thank you for listening. We really hope that the show is something you look forward to checking in with every week. Episodes drop every weekend on Apple Podcasts to get you ready for working in the yard on the weekend. So make sure you subscribe. All you need to do is open the podcast app on your Apple iPhone and look for Gardening Utah, and you can just hit that subscribe button, and every time we drop a new episode, you'll be able to have a listen. Now, if you don't have an Apple iPhone, you can still listen to our episodes. You can listen on 860 KKAT AM on Saturday and Sunday in Utah, which you may be listening to right now. And you can also listen to past episodes on 860kkat.com/garden. So my hope is this is a fun and informative show that you can listen to while you're out and about, kind of getting to work in the garden, or maybe you're shopping in the nurseries or garden centers, so you can be inspired and stay in the know on all the tasks you need to accomplish. But first, it's the tip of the week.
860 KKAT with your Gardening Utah tip of the week.
My tip of the week is get rid of those suckers now. Now, I'm not talking about the suckers that probably came home with the kids on Halloween. I'm talking about the small sprouts or stems that stick up around the base of your tree. Those suckers that are growing off of the root base and that almost look like they're trying to form another tree. Those are called suckers, and it is best to cut them off close to the ground as soon as you see them. Now, you might be tempted to leave a tree sucker, but you really want to remove them as quickly as possible. Those little tree suckers will sap the energy away from the healthier and more desirable branches on the top of the tree. And chances are you will not be pleased by the way the plant that is produced by the tree sucker. So removing them improves the health of the tree overall. Now, technically, anytime you see one of these suckers, you're going to want to get it up. But fall is a great time to just walk around your yard, have a quick look, and cut off any that you see so you're going into the next year fresh. Now, how do we remove them? Well, tree sucker removal is relatively easy to do. It's very similar to pruning. So use a sharp, very clean pair of pruning shears and cleanly cut the plant sucker as close to the tree as possible, but leave the collar, which is where the tree sucker meets the tree. And that will help speed up the wound recovery. And again, perform this as soon as you see any plant suckers appear so that you put less stress on your tree. But if you haven't kept on top of it this time of year, now that a lot of our plant material and foliage around the base of our trees has died back, it's a great time to walk out there, have a quick look at everything, and cut those suckers off. And that was the tip of the week.
Never miss a tip for your garden. Never miss a tip for your garden. And never miss an episode. The Gardening Utah Podcast with Jana Francis on 860 KKAT.
So today on Gardening Utah, we are going to be switching it up big time. We're doing something quite a bit different than we normally do, in that we're not going to be talking all about gardens necessarily. Today we're talking about pets. We're talking about our animals. And, you know, if there's anything I love as much, if not much more than my garden, it's my pets. And I'm sure you are the same way as well. So today I'm so excited because we have Martha Page. She is the Animal Health and Pet Category Manager at IFA, your Intermountain Farmers Association stores. And I'm so excited to have her on today's show. We are going to talk about a lot of different things. We're going to be talking about quality pet food. Now, I've always got my pet food from IFA. And it was so fun today to hear from Martha that the IFA pet food is made here in Utah. So we talk a little bit about that. We also talk about how to really take care of your animals over the winter. Most animals need, unless they're indoors, they really need a little bit of a different diet, especially when you're looking at animals like poultry. So we talk a lot about that, some winterization tips that you can do for your animals. And we also talk about an animal food drive that they have coming up. And so I'm just really excited about that. Now, listen, I wanted to tell you an IFA story. I buy my chicken feed and dog food at IFA. And on a trip about maybe a year and a half ago, I was buying the great big bags of chicken scratch and chicken feed. And I'm just in there, and I didn't realize that you can just buy at the register and then pick it up. They give you a slip, and you can just go around the corner, and they'll load it all into your car. So I'm in there with my cart, and I'm lifting these giant, big, heavy bags of animal feed and walking over to the register. And I remember this man looking over at me, and he walked over, and I didn't even realize that he worked there. And he said, "Ma'am, there's no reason for you to be carrying these. Let's help you get these to your car. And what else did you need?" And there was 2 more bags that I needed to lift. So he lifts those, and he walks me all the way to the front of the store, and he stands in line and chats with me while I'm checking out. And I thought, this is so nice. He says, "Look, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to help you load this into your car. There's no reason you need to be carrying these bags." Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much. So we go out, and he helps me load all of my feed into the back of my truck. And it was so nice of him. And so I was just making small talk. And he said, "Next time, here's what you do." And he was telling me kind of the scoop on how you can just order at the register, and then they'll print out a slip for you, and you can go over to the garage and pick up your chicken feed or whatever, your whatever products you bought there. And so he was explaining that to me. And I said, "Well, you've been such a nice gentleman. Thank you so much. What's your name?" And he said, "Oh, my name is Lane Anderson." And I said, "Oh, well, nice to meet you, Lane. I'm Jana Francis." And that was it. And he walks away, and I thought, that was such a polite man. And of course, in my curiosity, I look up the name Lane Anderson with the name IFA, and it was the president of IFA. He was the president of IFA, literally just coming to help just some random customer at the checkout. I thought that was so, so cool. Anyway, fun story there. So let's talk to Martha really quick about the animal food drive they have coming up. So Martha, tell us about the IFA stores in Utah.
Yes. So we have 23 IFA stores, and they're not just all in Utah. Now they're concentrated in Utah. Our headquarters in Salt Lake City. So we're a local company, but we do have a store in Idaho, 2 in Nevada, 1 in Colorado, 1 in New Mexico. And so there's 23 locations, somewhere close to where you live, I'm sure. But you can go in there, and until Saturday, November 21st, for every 10 bags of feed we sell, we're going to donate 1 bag to a local nonprofit that the store has teamed up with. You can also donate money just there at the register in dollar increments. If you're not comfortable visiting a store, they all have curbside pickup. So you can call in your order. You can donate over the phone if you'd like, and then pull up, and they will load that in your trunk for you. You don't even have to get out of your car. So there's safer options for those that aren't comfortable going into the stores.
That's awesome. And right after this quick break, we are going to talk a little bit more about this animal food drive. But meanwhile, you can find out more at ifacountrystores.com, and you will see a cute pop-up with a horse and a dog and a cat and a chicken. And it says Feeding Friends Animal Food Drive, November 9th through 21st. So check it out there. And we'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
She's more than just gardening puns and sage advice. It's Gardening Utah with Jana Francis on 860 KKAT. Gardening Utah, available wherever you get your podcasts and at 860kkat.com/garden. Here's Jana Francis.
Welcome back to Gardening Utah. I'm your host, Jana Francis, and with me here today is Martha Page, the Animal Health and Pet Category Manager at IFA. I'm so excited to have you here, Martha.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this will be fun. So you guys, I was noticed the other day online that you guys have a really cool promotion going on right now, an animal food drive, and I really was excited to tell our listeners about it. So give us the scoop, no pun intended, on that.
Right. So what we've done is we have designed an animal food and feed drive for our local nonprofit partners. And so what each of our 23 stores have done is they've partnered up with a local nonprofit, could be their local shelter, their local sanctuary, rescue group, things like that, and have partnered up with them. We have them listed on our website. So from November 9th until Saturday, the 21st, customers can come in and donate, just as they're buying their normal products, they can donate money towards it, dollar increments. The other way to donate to this food drive is you can buy 10 bags of feed and we'll donate 1 bag. So how that works actually is the local nonprofit partner has provided a wish list. And so we're going to go in and pull the types of feed that they need for the group of animals they have at the time and provide what they need. So it's not going to be if you go in and buy 10 bags of scratch or 10 bags of this dog food, they're not going to get that exact item necessarily. They're going to get what they've requested. We're just using those funds to pass that along. So that's the 2 ways to donate to this awesome food drive.
That's really cool. Yeah. So that makes it super customized for what their needs are. Maybe they have, way different. Every place is so dramatically different with what they have at the time.
They really are. And some of our locations are sharing a local nonprofit because they're so close together. But they're so very varied. Like we have sanctuaries that take in pigs, horses, chickens, llamas, just such a variety. And then you have, this another location partnered up with a horse rescue and so it's such a variety. It's not just dogs and cats. It's horses, cattle, sheep, you name it. And it could potentially, you're passing along that good deed onto these places that are struggling right now with everything going on.
Well, yeah, because the pandemic has really impacted these shelters, correct?
Correct. Some have, it depends, county by county or, however they're organized, but some have lost staff due to budget cuts and having to they can't let the general public in the buildings. And so, you don't need as many staff for that situation. And so a lot of them are struggling, but one thing that holds us all together is our love and our care for our pets, and they're our responsibility. And so we really want to build that community around. And that's really, IFA's tagline is helping to grow the things you love. And so we want to carry that through in this food drive because, we want to support those people who others may be having a hard time. We want to support those things that they love and help them grow them.
Yeah. So. You had me at llama. I didn't know I could go rescue a llama somewhere.
Right? Llamas, goats, alpacas. It's crazy.
Really?
Just the different various things that the shelters get in. Yeah. I see goats posted on found Facebook pages kind of regularly. It's kind of weird. They get out and people catch them and turn them over to the shelter. And if people don't reclaim them, then they need a new home, so.
Oh my gosh. I've been considering getting goats. So
have you?
Yeah, a little bit. It's one of those things where it's I think about it all the time. But so all my neighbors have goats to the south of my house. And so I hear them all the time. But it's, I've got a lot of different areas in my backyard where I've got willows and stuff that we're always cutting down, or Russian olives that I have a little bit of sovereign land up against the Jordan River. And it takes a lot of maintenance to keep some of the noxious weeds and, those kinds of things down. And I had asked around a lot, hey, is there an easier way to maintain this? Yes, goats.
Right.
And I've never taken care of any kind of livestock before. I didn't grow up with anything other than cats and dogs. So I decided about 2 years ago, or wait, I think 2.5 years ago now, I thought, well, maybe I need to first make sure that I can take care of chickens. Let's start with something more simple. Now, I don't know if chickens were more simple than goats looking back, because they've been, you get a system down, and I love having chickens, but holy smokes, they're a commitment.
They are. And a lot of people don't realize that they live for a pretty long time. And I say that because, when I first joined IFA, I thought chickens lived for 2 or 3 years. I didn't have any experience with them either. But I
Oh,
had customers coming in telling me, oh, I have an 8-year-old chicken that's still giving me an egg a week. And I was like, what?
oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so they could, they're a commitment. And I made sure, when people come in to pick those up, I'm like, just so you know, this is this is a commitment
Yes,
going on.
it totally is.
So
In fact, I dedicated an entire episode so far. I'll probably do more to backyard chickens, episode 4. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, all right, I'm going to be crazy like Jana and go get some chickens, and I got mine at IFA, the one on 21st South. So if you're like me and you decide to do it, but you want to know what you're getting into more, because it is quite a lot of research, episode 4 of Gardening Utah is totally dedicated to backyard chickens and just the basics on things you really, really need to know. So kind of like maybe you'll have some good pointers, but things like, you've got to coop them up every single night. They've got to be, they're very susceptible to predators. So the number one thing is just you've got to have an excellent setup.
for sure. I mean, those predators are sneaky, and they will go over, under. I mean, the raccoon's little fingers can open latches. Like it's just crazy the things that they can do. So yeah, putting them in that chicken coop at night, super important.
Yeah, I mean, everything loves a chicken dinner. And
Right.
everything from hawks during the day to, neighbor dogs, unfortunately, if you're not protected from other neighbor dogs or your own, they will go after the chickens, raccoons and skunks and you name it. It's crazy.
Right. Fox. Yeah. Hawks will fly in and grab the younger ones, and
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
It can be pretty devastating. But anyway, I digress. So with the food drive, if you're just going into IFA as do you as an individual have to buy the 10 bags, or does it accumulate with other people buying food as well?
It's accumulated. And so, if you're going to go in and buy 5, that will go towards that total. We'll go pull those after the food drive is over, and get those numbers pulled from our computer system. So you don't need to buy 10 bags. I mean, if you do, that's great.
Yeah.
Because you know that you donated a bag. But any purchase is going to go towards that number.
Yeah.
So that would be great.
That's very cool, because I get we've always gotten our dog food from IFA, but my dog has since passed, but we get all of our chicken feed and chicken scratch, mealworms. I mean, I realize mealworms wouldn't count toward the goal, but it's a good time to stock up between now and the 21st so that you can really take care of the animal shelters.
For sure. I mean, in this season right now of just uncertainty, but also the holidays coming up, we had a lot of people just wanting to give back and do things, and we were one of those people. We're a local co-op. We mix a lot of this feed up the street in Draper at the feed mill. It's formulated by our local nutrition experts, and so we just feel very near and dear to our community, and we really want to be giving back to that. And that's why we've asked each location to partner up with their local nonprofit to kind of just bring that hometown feel, that community, because it's so important right now.
That is really cool. And the 21st South location in Salt Lake,
I think it's Salt Lake County Animal Shelter, I think, is who they've picked as their nonprofit.
Yeah, that's right. And out in Draper,
Yes.
It was Rescue Rovers, I think.
Yes.
I love
That's actually who I foster with. Yes.
Really?
I do. I actually have a foster dog right now, but he's a little, he acts like an 8-week-old puppy, but he's in a 75-pound body.
Oh boy.
So, yeah. So we went and played fetch before this so he could be chill and quiet while we were recording this podcast.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, so he was going to make an appearance, but I didn't know how it would go. So he's sleeping right now.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so we'll have to talk about Rescue Rovers in one of the next segments, because I follow their Facebook page, and it's just like every day I think, oh, okay, I'm getting a dog. It's just like
right.
Every photo, I cannot deal. And my husband the other day saw me. He calls it doom scrolling, because
oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Every single dog, I'm like, well, I want that one, and I want that one, and he's just like, turn off the computer right now.
Exit out and look at gardening things.
Exactly. Stop.
That's funny.
Scrolling for animals, Jana. You have plenty. Oh, geez. So you're a foster mom for them, then?
I am. I've just jumped back into it. I fostered with them a couple years ago, and then took a break for my personal dog was sick and all that good stuff. So not good stuff, all that horrible stuff.
Yeah.
But have recently, I think I'm ready to adopt another dog. So I thought I'll start fostering, and if one comes through that just clicks with my personality and my lifestyle, look at adopting that one. But if not, like, why not pull them from the local shelters and things and help them find their forever home, let them decompress and get used to a household and that kind of stuff. So,
and where do they usually come from by the time they get to a foster mom?
It depends on each rescue. A lot of them have relationships with the shelters around them and potentially shelters in other states, depending who needs help. They're really just aiming to have, no-kill shelters statewide. And so they're really trying to work together to accomplish that goal.
Got it. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, I'm tempted to do that too, because it's kind of like you can kind of get your dog fixed without, the permanent commitment.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it's because, like, the guy I currently have, he's an awesome dog, but he has such a drive and energy and things, and I think he would do so great at that lifestyle, who's always out snowshoeing and hiking and doing all these things. And while I do that casually, I'm nowhere near, I think, what he would love, and we would be the perfect household for him. So it's all about, finding that perfect fit for them,
For sure. Okay, when we come back right after this break, we are going to talk with Martha about quality pet food and poultry feed, and maybe even some winter tips on things that we need to do differently to take care of our animals through the winter. Stay with us.
860 KKAT with Jana Francis and Gardening Utah, where it's always mulch time. She really does have the nicest yard on the block. It's Gardening Utah with Jana Francis on 860 KKAT.
Welcome back to Gardening Utah. I'm your host, Jana Francis, and with me is Martha Page, the Animal Health and Pet Category Manager at IFA, and we are talking about pets, which is like the most fun thing to talk about aside from flowers and gardening, right?
Right. Mine might be mixed just because I'm a horrible gardener. That's why I follow Facebook pages and podcasts, so I can be a better gardener.
There we go. I love it. So I've mentioned to you earlier in the segment that I buy all of my pet food at IFA. I always have. And so IFA really does have high quality pet food. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. With winter coming, just as humans, we like to, eat up a whole bunch and pad up and, get ready for hibernation for the cold winter months. We see a similar kind of personality trait, if you will, in pets. And so it's really important that we provide a high quality food that can help them get through these cold winter months. So while they may not be more active, a higher protein is great because it helps keep them warmer in the winter time, but just high quality ingredients for things like poultry, like we were talking about in the last segment. Like a 20% lay pellet or lay mash is great because it's that increased protein versus the 16% that you see 16 and 20 typically. The 20% is great to feed them in the wintertime, but not only that, like I said, the feed quality ingredients are great. Like omegas are talked about a lot, omega 3s. Oh, yeah. And a lot of poultry feeds will do the ALA type, which is the chickens will absorb. But what I like to see is in the IFA feed bags on the front. We'll talk about DHA omega 3s, and those are highly absorbable in the chickens. And which, as you probably are aware, the omegas pass through into the eggs, and so you actually get the benefit of that as well.
Yeah.
So you really are what you eat in that regard. Yeah. And so yes, and so it's super important to be feeding that high quality feed because it affects you as well. Down the road. But with pets, it's, you're helping them get ready for the wintertime, the cold, and all that fun stuff. So,
yeah, and it's important for their, the extra protein is so important to help them stay warm.
Correct. Yep. Getting that up. A fun little tip that we like to tell people, we call it the expert feed tip, is to feed something like scratch. So scratch is considered a treat, correct? Like you don't want it to be the majority of nutrition. Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to think that. Is the majority, it should be like 10% really of their diet.
Yes.
And so a little fun tip we like to tell people is feed them the scratch at night when the sun's going down, because that will get their body temperature up to keep them warm through the night. So just a little extra.
Yes, I love that because I do that. I try to avoid giving them scratch in the summer because I have heard like the cracked corn and everything in the scratch. Well, and actually, let's talk about what is in scratch, because a lot of our listeners, if you don't have chickens, you might be wondering what in the world are they talking about with scratch. But scratch is like a treat, and it contains like, well, you tell us what it contains, but like the only thing that I recognize is the cracked corn, and the chickens go nuts for it. It's like chicken crack. Yeah. And it does. It helps them warm up their little bodies.
It does, yeah. But typically, a standard one will usually consist of cracked corn, wheat, and Milo. So some people will go buy those in 50-pound bags and mix their own, and that kind of thing, and do their own ratios and things. But yeah, that's a great one to throw out. A lot of people, we like to try to educate the customers, right? We're not just about sales. We want to talk about the overall health of your pet. And so it's important to remember that it is a treat.
Yes.
It's not their main diet.
Absolutely. Yeah. It doesn't provide a ton of nutrition, but it definitely provides, a lot of they just love it. They go crazy over it.
Yes.
That and mealworms.
That's what I usually call chicken crack, is the mealworms, because, we had an associate up at our Ogden IFA that they had a flock there at the store, and she trained them to come out and kick the bag of mealworms. She'd hold it in her hand, and one hen would jump up and knock it with her little leg. She'd kick it.
Oh my word. Well, I bought one of those little circular hamster. It kind of looks like a hamster toy. Well, actually it says hamster toy. And I filled it with scratch and mealworms, and two of my girls, my chickens, will go up and they kick it with their leg as if they're doing their normal scratch in the ground, and they know that the treats will roll out. They're so smart. Chickens are so smart.
They're smarter than I think people give them credit for sure.
Oh, totally. It's kind of crazy. So earlier in the show, you mentioned that something about Draper. Were you saying that your food mill, like where you produce the food, is in Draper?
Yeah, we have a couple mills. We have one up in northern Utah, one in southern Utah, and then one in Draper. Our feed is formulated by IFA employees. We have feed nutrition experts. Wow. That formulate those and can adjust those with new findings that, if they find that chickens absorb this kind of nutrient better and this, so they can adjust it as new nutrition things are found, which is great. That's
really cool. I didn't realize that. So that's a great tip.
Yeah. I love anything local. And so to be able to say, hey, the feed's mixed just right up there in Draper. If you drive down 123rd, you'll see the feed mill.
Really?
There, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
That is so cool. Okay. Yeah. So tell us about the range of pet and poultry food that you have there. I mean, you've got pretty much everything for every animal.
We really do. I mean, if you start with small animals, we have mouse and rat, hamster, that type. And then we move up into the rabbits, where we actually formulate that food. That one is an IFA labeled, that's mixed. So we have the rabbit. We go up into, dog, cat, companion animals, all the way up into livestock. So you're looking at the cattle, the llamas,
you have llama feed?
Yes, we do have llama feed. We have goat, we have sheep, we have, of course, equine. It's we have a bunch. Yeah, wide range. And if we don't have it, we can get it for you. That's the benefit of having a feed mill, right? Is if you need something specifically made, talk to your local IFA, and we can try and work on getting something. It will, decent quantity, but we can, work on that with you. So
I had no idea. Okay, that's really amazing. I love to hear. So in case I end up with an emu overnight,
come see us. We'll take care of you.
Yeah, exactly. That's so awesome. Okay, well, we'll be right back right after this break. We'll have more with Martha Page, Animal Health and Pet Category Manager at IFA. Stay with us.
She's more than just gardening puns. and sage advice. It's Gardening Utah with Jana Francis on 860 KKAT. 860 KKAT with more of the fastest growing show on radio. It's Gardening Utah with Jana Francis.
Welcome back to Gardening Utah. I'm your host, Jana Francis, and with me here is Martha Page, the Animal Health and Pet Category Manager at IFA. Martha, this has been fun. Thanks so much for being here.
It has been so much fun. I've had a good time. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. So I love IFA. I just need to say, and by the way, this is not sponsored. This is just for fun, right? But I love to go to IFA. There's just I love shopping through all the clothes and seeing all the different things. And of course, the garden category. Obviously, you guys always have great plants and trees and stuff like that. But lately, there's certain times of the year where my husband won't let me go. Or he'll say, hey, the chickens need more mealworms. Can you stop by IFA today? And I say, nope, I refuse to go to IFA. And I said, so the reason is, when you guys have chicks, I'm going to come home with some chicks, right? And so
it's called chicken math, right? You say you're going to get 6 and you end up with 12.
I know. My husband said I could get 6 chickens and the Lord wanted me to have 20, so 35 it is.
That's right.
No, I'm teasing, but let me tell you what, anytime IFA has chicks, if my husband will say hey, we're out of scratch or whatever, I'll say, well, you better go or you're going to have 6 more chickens. So he'll be like, fine, I'll stop by.
So that means you can't go to IFA from March until June and then again in the fall, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. In fact,
yep.
I'll tell you what, there's a couple different breeds of chicken that I don't have that I really, really want. I'd love a lavender Orpington, and there's
yes.
I'd love a Wells Summer, and I really want a buff Orpington because I don't have those breeds yet, and I've never had them before. And because you guys, have a lot of different breeds, and so last year before the chicks arrived, I had gotten a list from someone at the 21st South store of all the different varieties that you were going to get during the year. And anyway, it got to where I was going to go in on a certain day and I was going to get more chicks. And then one of my chickens got sick. And it was really, really hard for me to say goodbye to this chicken. I mean, it was kind of a thing. And we ended up doing more for her than we probably, most people would have. And it was kind of expensive. But she was my sweet Winona girl, Anyway, at that point I was like, all right, you know what? I'm not getting any more chickens right now. And I talked myself out of it, but I knew that if I ended up in IFA, I was going to come home with chickens. And so I told my husband, you've got to do the IFA shopping for now. So somehow I got
how many
What's that?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, so somehow I escaped because he doesn't have that same thing. But then he'll start to text me, oh, look, they've got the Well Summers, and send me the pictures. And I'm just like, oh, I need all the chicks.
I love that he messes with you about it too. He's like, hey, looky here.
Totally. Oh, they've got turkeys too, because I've always kind of wanted a turkey. And I'm just like, stop it.
I have a soft spot for the geese, but only when they're little. Yeah. I don't like them when they get bigger because I've been hissed at and all that fun stuff, right? But when they're little, oh my goodness, they're so cute.
The cute little fluffers, they're so cute. Yeah.
They are.
Anyway, IFA is dangerous that time of year. Ducks and geese and turkeys and chickens. Oh, they're so cute. And of course, rabbits too. Rabbits
are another one. That's kind of the wide range of kind of what we carry.
Yeah.
Depending on the time of year, rabbits are pretty much year round. Yeah. And then like you said, the chickens, the ducks, the geese. Some IFAs carry pheasants if you want to have a pheasant flock out in your yard running around.
Oh, wow.
They do those.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's just it's an addiction. It's really an addiction.
Anyway, should I have said that?
No, now I'm like, ooh, pheasants. I need to look that up too. Or peacocks are another thing. I'm like, a peacock would be really fun to have. I've heard that those are so fun in the yard.
Right. They're beautiful. They make a cool noise. But again, geese and peacocks, I'm like, they always seem, if there's one, there's like a million.
Yeah,
I swear, it's never just a peacock chilling out. There's at least 20 more somewhere else.
totally. Yeah, the ones at Lagoon, I remember seeing those 2 summers ago. And we're just chilling kind of at the little beach area, and this peacock comes out, and then more come out. And I'm like, wait a minute, they're just like chilling.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure they're not scared of humans at this point. So that makes them even a little more nerve wracking because you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally. Okay, so right before we joined to do this podcast, I was out at my chicken coop, and I was taking out a lot of the sand at the bottom of the coop and replacing it with a really, really thick layer of pine shavings, of course, that I got at IFA. And I just, realized, there are so many different things you need to do to winterize for your animals. And so let's go over some of the tips that you guys have. Let's start with dogs, because I know that a lot of our listeners have dogs. So what are some of the things that you guys recommend?
For dogs, it's pretty simple in a way. If they're inside dogs, it's just, again, making sure they have a high quality nutrition, because you will see, even though they're indoor, they're still going to actually increase their intake. I noticed in the summer it decreases, that kind of thing. But if you have an outdoor water bowl, there's heated water bowls you can get that will keep the water from freezing, so you don't have to go out and break the ice every morning, every night, all that stuff. So when you're out playing fetch with your dog, they have fresh water available to drink as they're running around like crazy.
Yeah.
And then if you're taking them for walks, just be aware of salt on the roads and the sidewalks. You can buy little booties for them so it doesn't crack the little pads on the bottom of their feet. Things like that. So dog and cats are pretty easy if you have them indoors. If you have them outdoors, just make sure they have a nice shelter to go into that breaks the wind, is insulated, has a door, so when they go in, the wind doesn't blow in the door on them. Some sort of bedding like pine shavings, or I usually recommend, like, if you have like old blankets laying around or towels or something like that, because some people have working dogs that are out protecting their sheep herds and things like that. Just making sure they have a shelter to go into, fresh water, high quality feed, watch their body condition, make sure they're staying nice and healthy.
Yeah, it's really that wind. The wind barrier is so important. I just noticed with my chickens, and then we have an outdoor cat as well. And it's just all about getting shelter from the wind. Almost anything else. Well, the wind and water, right? Anything else, the actual temperature, they've got a good fur coat on.
They do. And that's what we have to remember, is they're growing a winter coat as the season's changing. Their bodies are adjusting to that thing. And I think a lot of people like to think with their human brain and think, oh no, like it's so cold and blah, blah. And we need to remember that they've been, going with the flow for, hundreds and hundreds of years and adapting to these season changes. And so they usually have another coat on. But, if you have an outdoor cat that's a mouser and things like that, just make sure they have a shelter to go into. There's some do-it-yourself ones where you can flip coolers upside down and cut a door in them. And there's heated cat homes for sale that you can go get, that they can go into, and things like that. But just making sure that, like you said, fresh water, a shelter, and some available food for them.
Yeah. Sometimes I think nature can be a little bit cruel. I've got in my chicken coop, I have one of my chickens is in a hard molt. And for those of you that don't know, molt means they lose their feathers to regrow them. And unfortunately, Mother Nature decides that this is the time of year to do it. And that's also not the time of year because of the weather. But I think one of the reasons they molt this time of year is because it's really stressful on their system. And usually right now, egg production goes down tremendously. And so I think that's one of the reasons why the nature has decided that this is the time to molt. But I have this little chicken, and she's just lost all of her feathers and barely has, she looks so bad. I feel so terrible for her. And so I've been really, really careful with her to make sure that during the day, instead of going out in the run and getting in the weather, she's been staying in the coop. Just out of that wind, because that just, you can just see him shiver. But Mother Nature can be so mean sometimes.
It can, and I'm not sure why. Yeah, October was chosen for molt season.
Yeah.
Just as it's getting cold, if they sell little sweaters you can put on them, but really it's just like you said, you have a place for her to go into to protect her from the wind. Some people will put heat lamps in their coop. That can be a fire hazard.
Yeah.
And technically chickens don't need heat in the winter. Again, they've adapted to that season change. They've been out in the summer, the fall, the winter, so they have grown those additional feathers underneath to insulate. If you are wanting to upkeep egg production because it's based on the days of light or the hours of light that they get, you can put in just a regular light that flips on early in the morning, stays on a little later at night, so they get the hours built into the day. It'll keep laying if that's the route you want to take. Other people like to go natural and just let the chicken do what it does normally. If you're worried about some that are molting or have young ones that aren't fully feathered out yet, there are heated pet mats that you can put in and little snap together brooders that have heating plates on them that don't pose that fire risk. So there's alternates to that heat lamp if you're hearing horror stories about those fires.
Exactly. And I actually have one of those little sweeter heaters that I got there. I forget what it was called at IFA, but I picked one of those up, and inside my coop, it looks like a plasma screen TV, right?
Yes, it does. Yep.
So people, but I'm giving them a little tour of the coop area. They're like, "You have a television for your chickens?"
Well, yeah, you got to keep them entertained, man. Like,
that's right. They love watching TV. No, but yeah. So that's been really helpful for my molting chicken because I just know, But I try not to do any supplemental heat in the coop. It's just a matter of having the ventilation in the coop and a place where the heat and any condensation can escape, because then they could get frostbite and that kind of thing. It's important to never have water inside the coop because that can create a lot of condensation as well. So just dry, keep them dry and out of the wind, and obviously very locked up so that you're not feeding the raccoons and the skunks.
That's right, because they're hungry too. So don't make them available, right?
Yeah. You know what I was going to ask? What is the difference between indoor cat food and outdoor cat food?
A lot of people will do kind of like a value pack for their outdoor cats because they're out catching mice and getting these other sources of nutrients that your indoor cat isn't getting. And so indoor cats, on the other hand, they're cleaning themselves and doing things, so you'll have typically more hairball problems. So a lot of indoor cat formulas will be focused on hairballs and hairball control and things like that. So I think it's just a difference in kind of what they're getting in their downtime between those meals.
Okay.
Is a big part of that.
That makes so much sense. Okay, that I like that. So tell our listeners, let's just remind of the food drive and tell them about the locations around Utah.
Yes. So we have 23 IFA stores, and they're not just all in Utah. Now they're concentrated in Utah. Our headquarters in Salt Lake City. So we're a local company, but we do have a store in Idaho, 2 in Nevada, 1 in Colorado, 1 in New Mexico. And so there's 23 locations, somewhere close to where you live, I'm sure. Thanks so much for having me. And if you guys have any questions or want to read up on more, go ahead and feel free to visit our website at ifacountrystores.com. Has our location, has articles on winter poultry care and pet care, and also has more information on this awesome food drive that we're doing for the pets.
When you're ready to grow big or go home, make your neighbors green with envy. Get the Gardening in Utah podcast, Gardening Utah, available wherever you get your podcasts and at 860kkat.com/garden.
We are supported by ProgressivePlant.com, the perfect and unique plants that will thrive in your location. They are your neighbors next door and experts at helping you choose the perfect and unique plants that will thrive in your location. Progressive Plant is passionate about helping homeowners, expert gardeners, novices alike choose the correct plant for your soil. They don't just grow plants, they know plants. Let Progressive Plants help you today. Just go to ProgressivePlant.com and check out their wide selection. You can also go to the design Design tab and look at the expert designers that they have that can help you plan your perfect yard. Visit progressiveplants.com today.